Alright, today let's talk about Samsung. If you're not living under a well, you will probably know that Samsung released its 2020 flagship lineup, the Galaxy S20 series, not too long ago. Sure, the Galaxy S20 does came with a whole bunch of new features and upgraded specs, but it also came with a price to match. In Canada, where I live, the Galaxy S20 base model will cost you approximately $1,320 Canadian. In the US, it will be $1,000. But here's the question. Do you really need the absolutely highest specs, the latest features, and a whole bunch of bells and whistles? Well, this is Maxwell from Main Street Tech, and I'm here to prove that why you don't need to buy the Galaxy S20 series, at least not for now in 2020. Well, I would say, first of all, for most people out there, I would say that they don't need to buy the Galaxy S20. The answer will be simply no. Well, simply by looking at the base model S20, one feature that some people may want to try is the 5G network. In most countries, well, 5G has just started and it's absolutely not stable and reliable. But if you really wanted to try a 5G though, the Galaxy S10 5G is a better option, especially when you look at the used market. Believe it or not, I rarely buy electronics brand new, and most of the time getting a used one is just way better value. This is my personal Galaxy S10 5G, and I only paid $780 Canadian. This is approximately $588 US. You can see here, the phone itself is in absolutely flawless condition, except some minor scratches on the screen, and that is because I had this phone for quite a while, and I've been using this phone as my daily driver for a long time already. It got a 6.7-inch display at Quad HD Plus resolution, which is even bigger than the base model S20, but the same size as the S20 Plus. It got 4 rear cameras and 3 front cameras if you count the TOF camera sensors as well. It also has the flagship specs from last year, and the performance is still overkilling for most everyday tasks. And most importantly, it still has a headphone jack. Well, here, I need to say a thing. So 5G shouldn't be the feature that you're switching phones to get. 4G LTE network is still really fast, and most importantly, it's reliable. It's far more reliable than what is currently on the 5G network. If you're on the 5G network, well, chances are you're still going to use 4G LTE for most of the time. Sure, the Galaxy S10 5G is a great phone, but I don't think that is for everyone. The price is still relatively high, and finding a trustworthy eBay seller is a pain in the neck too. So next up, we're coming to some slightly older flagships, the Galaxy S9 series and the Note 9. Spec-wise, the S9 is the same as the S9 Plus, but the S9 Plus has an additional camera. The Note 9, however, is a little bit different. We'll come back to it and talk about it later. The base model S9 is a perfect size if you have smaller hands, but, well, I have pretty big hands, so, well, I still prefer the S9 Plus. On the camera side, the main shooter is mostly the same as the Galaxy S10 5G we just talked about, and it's definitely taking some great photos with it. The secondary camera here, again, only features on the S9 Plus, is a 2x zoom lens, also known as a telephoto lens. But one thing that it lacks is the ultra-wide angle lens. But despite not having an ultra-wide lens, on the photography side, the S9 still takes some really great photos. On the performance side, the S9 rocks the Snapdragon 845 chip if you got the North American model, or the Chinese model for some reason if you got that. My personal S9 and S9 Plus are all North American Snapdragon ones, and I paid $350 Canadian for the S9 and $400 for the S9 Plus. And if you're lucky, you might get the international model, which rocks an Exynos 9810 processor, which opens up the segue to custom ROMs and mods that you can possibly put on your device. And if you got the special version, which is the G960F/DS and the G965/DS model, which are quite rare, but if you got those, you will also get dual SIM card support. Both runners of the S9 series holds up pretty well for day-to-day usage, and the gaming performance is still great. Now, let's talk about the Note 9. You can see the Note 9 as an S9 Plus with a slightly different design, a slightly bigger display, and supports S Pen stylus input. But unfortunately, my personal Note 9 does not came with the S Pen, and I paid $420 for it. I don't actually care about S Pen that much, since I don't actually want to use the stylus anyways. But you know what? I paid extra. I paid extra $15 from a Note 9 Plus phone to get a S Pen, but you can see here the color does not really match because I got the Plus phone, which is a black color, and the Note 9 that I got here is the blue color, which should have the yellow color pen, which is really iconic. Well, if you're really into using the S Pen, the Note 9 can be a great option. Spec-wise, the Note 9 is absolutely same as the S9 Plus, including the same set of cameras, same processors, and a lot of same stuff. As I mentioned above, the display size is a bit larger at 6.4 inch compared to the 6.2 inch panel on the S9 Plus. With slightly thicker bezels around the Note 9, it is mostly the same size as the S10 5G. The design of the Note 9 is more rigid, not as rounded as the S9 series and the S10 series, made it a little bit difficult to hold if you have smaller hands, but as I mentioned above, already I have big hands, so it's not a big problem for me. Both of the S9 series and the Note 9 series are really great options if you're simply looking for a reliable and fast phone, but you'll have to sacrifice the ultra-wide camera. Speaking of the ultra-wide camera, for some reason you really want it, I bet many people nowadays will surely want an ultra-wide camera. If you really want it, you'll be better off looking at the Galaxy A series. Sure, the A series phones are not as performance-centered as the S series, but the specs on those A series phones can perform really well. Some of the latest additions to the A series phones including the Galaxy A51 and the Galaxy S20, which looks really similar to the Galaxy S20 series. But again, you don't actually need to buy the latest products as I mentioned above. So, the one that I recommend you to try is the Galaxy A9 2018. Sure, as the name implied, this is a mid-range device, came out 2 years ago, but it still performs surprisingly good even by today's standards. It got a Snapdragon 660 processor, 6GB of RAM, and 128GB of internal storage. On the camera side, it got not 2, not 3, but 4 rear cameras. That includes a main camera, a 2x zoom lens also known as the telephoto lens, an ultra-wide camera, and a depth sensing camera. You can easily get this phone, the Galaxy A9 2018, used on eBay as cheap as $250 Canadian and brand new for around $450 Canadian. Now, I mean, if I have $450, I will probably choose the S9 Plus or the Note 9 instead of the A9, but some people do want an ultra-wide camera on their phone, so the A9 should be a great option for them. Alright, so now we're here for the conclusion. It's almost April 2020 and you don't need to buy a Galaxy S20. Well, if you really want a Galaxy S20, go and buy it, I won't stop you, but you know what, but chances are, most people aren't going to buy the latest flagship device anyways because most people don't need to simply. For me personally, I still don't feel like that I can fully utilize the power that is in the Snapdragon 660 processor in the Galaxy A9 2018. And always remember that there are lots of great options when you look at the used market. Alright, that's all for today, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.